Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems that shape our world. Now, this is a compressed structural companion to our deep dive on Kate Raworth's Doughnut Economics. So just to be clear, this isn't a book summary, and it's definitely not advice. Instead, we're using its core framework to really understand a radical shift in how we picture our economy.
So let's start with this quote from Raworth because it gets right to the heart of the matter. It argues that the economic models we all live by, well, they aren't fixed laws of nature. They're just human-made designs, pictures we drew. And because we drew them, we have the power to pick up a pencil and redraw them for the very real challenges of the 21st century.
Okay, so before we can get our heads around this new picture, we've got to get crystal clear on the old one, the system that has really dominated our world for the last 70-plus years.
For decades, economics has been completely fixated on one single metric for progress, gross domestic product, or GDP. You've all heard of it. This simple measure of a nation's total output has become the default, almost unquestioned definition of economic success.
And of course, that creates this incredibly powerful incentive structure. Governments, financial markets, global institutions, they are all designed to reward one thing above all else: policies that increase GDP. Delivering growth isn't just a goal anymore. It's become the primary metric for political and financial survival.
And this is Raworth's key argument. See, the pursuit of endless growth, that was never the original purpose of economics. It was a goal that sort of hijacked the conversation. It's like a cuckoo in the nest, pushing out more foundational ideas about what human well-being actually is.
All right, so what happens when your entire system is driven by this one single incentive for growth? Well, you get some pretty predictable and often very damaging outcomes.
Think about it. When the only goal is to make the total economic pie bigger, a lot of critical details just get ignored. This singular focus allows for extreme inequality because success is measured by the total size, not by how that pie is actually shared. It treats the destruction of nature as an externality, just an unfortunate side effect that somebody else will deal with later, rather than a direct cost of doing business. As long as that one number, GDP, keeps going up, policy will always be geared toward expansion, not balance.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the issue. This is the crisis in perception. We've mistaken the tool, GDP growth, for the actual goal, which should be genuine, broad-based human prosperity on a thriving planet.
So this just begs a massive question, right? And to answer it, we're going to need an entirely new tool, a whole new picture for what an economy should even be.
I mean, really, if we decide to ditch the goal of endless GDP growth, what do we replace it with? What does a better goal for our economy actually look like?
And this brings us to Raworth's brilliant visual metaphor, the donut. Now, don't worry about reading all the text on this slide, just focus on the shape itself. Think of it like a compass or maybe a dashboard for humanity. Suddenly, the goal is no longer endless upward growth. The new goal is to find balance within the donut itself.
So this dashboard has two really critical boundaries. That inner ring, that's the social foundation. These are the basics that every single person needs to lead a life of dignity. Things like food, water, housing. Then you have the outer ring. That's the ecological ceiling, the absolute limits of our planet's life support systems, like a stable climate and healthy oceans. If we cross that boundary, we risk planetary breakdown.
So what this does is completely reframe the entire goal of economics. It's no longer about growing forever. It's about getting all of humanity into that sweet spot in the middle, that safe and just space where everyone's needs are met without completely destroying our planet. The new goal is to thrive in balance.
But you might be thinking, if this new goal is so clear and makes so much sense, why is the shift so incredibly difficult? Well, it's because the donut model forces us to reconnect economics to the real world it's supposed to be serving.
See, just changing the goal isn't enough, because our economies aren't just fond of growth. They are financially, politically, and socially addicted to it. Our financial systems are built on mountains of debt that absolutely require future growth to be paid back. Political careers are built and broken on the promise of delivering growth. And culturally, let's face it, we've all been taught to equate growth with progress itself.
This diagram shows us the huge shift in perspective we need. Instead of seeing the economy as this separate, almost floating system, we have to see it as it truly is, embedded within society and entirely dependent on the living world for every bit of energy and resources. The economy is there to serve society, not the other way around, and both rely completely on the health of our planet. Now, changing the goal to the donut.
that's actually just the first of 7 critical mindset shifts Raworth proposes. These shifts involve seeing that bigger picture of the embedded economy, nurturing human nature instead of just ignoring it, and designing our systems to be distributive and regenerative right from the start. And it all leads up to the final and most radical idea, becoming agnostic about growth itself.
And this brings us to the final and maybe most provocative question of all. Being agnostic about growth means, can we design an economy that actually helps humanity thrive? Getting us all into that safe and just space of the donut, whether GDP happens to be going up, down, or just holding steady. It forces us to focus on what truly matters.
Crisis in perception is all about examining how systems shape what we believe, and how better tools, better pictures, like the donut, can help us see our world and all its possibilities much more clearly.
We make this project completely free and publicly accessible. So, if you value this kind of analysis and want to support the research that goes into it, you can become a supporter over on Patreon.
And for a much longer audio-based analysis of this whole topic, you can check out the deep dive, which is linked right there in the description. If you enjoyed this kind of systems-level analysis, please do like and subscribe, and definitely let us know in the comments what books or big ideas you think we should tackle next.